What's up, people of the world? It's your boy, Matt Tack, and Pat Hilton, producer Pat. Monday vibes. It was Mother's Day yesterday. Matt's like, man, I don't have any fancy topics to go over, and that's the whole thing about being consistent. Sometimes it's not so fancy, sometimes it's not so glorious, especially on a Monday when people are getting
Yeah,
back in the
Monday
groove.
night.
Stuff gets pushed back. My in-laws are in town hanging out. Grandpa and grandma here hanging out. So it's just like, Mondays can be like a pivot point for the whole week. And that's
For
why I
sure.
like to get a lot of stuff ready on Sunday nights so I'm prepared. And then sometimes
Yeah.
I just come into Monday hot. And it takes a couple days for some people to get into the groove for the week. And that's why I
Yeah.
don't take weekends off. Like if you follow me, I'm always posting content on the weekends,
Yeah.
making funny songs and skits, tagging people, blasting people's inboxes because that's part of the game. That's part of the
Yeah.
game. I use the internet as a weapon of promotion. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Honestly, if you aren't using the internet as a tool, you're falling behind.
You really are.
The people that are fighting technology, you're falling behind. It's the reality. I don't take a day off either. I work 7 days a week. But I'll tell you what, the priorities and the why though. So I know when to cut it off. I know when to bring it back into play. So I know what's important. I don't take a day off. I'm an entrepreneur. I run a business, right? I run multiple businesses. I do not take a day off. There's no there's no point in in my given week that I can just say, okay, no, I'm just not working. I'm nonstop working. My mind's always moving, and honestly, I'm trying to tailor that back even a little bit. But when you're in the beginning stages, a couple new startups, you have to maintain that. Life's based on momentum, right?
I was about to
Um,
use that word because you're
Momentum
creating
is
small
so big.
wins. They're building up. You're creating a network. You're building relationships with people, and it's just like
Mhm.
you can't stop and take time off. You've got to push it over the goal line. And while those guru analogies might be fun to make fun of sometimes, most of them that are high level analogies are true. It's just plain and
Yeah.
simple. Like if
You know
you
what's
think
cool?
about this too, when we were talking about weekends, because Mondays sometimes people are off, and it's
Mhm.
sometimes it's because they weren't pushing all weekend. Think about what percentage of your life is the weekends. Like
Yeah.
I'm not a mathematician, but if Friday night starts at 5 o'clock and you take Friday night off, Saturday off, and Sunday off, well, that's 2.5 out of 7 days a week. That's like almost a third of your week that you're taking off for your whole life. That's like 27% of your whole life you took off. So if someone's putting in, I've been working weekends since I was in high school, playing gigs and working at the pizza shop or serving meat at the meat department, doing all these things that I could on the weekends. I think champions are made on the weekends. So when guys like you and I come into Monday hot, we come into Monday hot, and everyone's like, "Oh, whoa, whoa, man, it's Monday, man, chill out, chill now, dude. I'm coming in
Yeah.
hot with the heat seeker."
That's that's so true. But I do also want to let people know, man, if you're passionate about what you do, I don't feel like I work a day. I don't actually work a day.
Oh no, dude,
I
not
don't
at
call it
all.
work. I'm extremely passionate about what I do. I love what I do. I get to engage with people on a daily basis. I do, man. I love what I do. So I'm extremely passionate about what I do. So when you find that, I don't call it work. I'm not working 7 days a week. I'm just enjoying enjoy what I love. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
to me not work, but it is the key. And I think the key to life in general is momentum. Momentum. It should be called Momentum Mondays. uh,
Yeah, let's change it.
Momentum Mondays, just because if you can maintain that momentum across the board, like through 7 days, um, and it doesn't have to be like 8-hour work days. It's like what are 8-hour work days either? Ed Milet puts it well. Why don't you consolidate? Why don't you just call them 4-hour work days and just max out your 4 hours, right?
Mm.
Max absolutely out 4 hours of the day. so you can do whatever whatever else you want to do. But Momentum Mondays, to me, are just a build up of the weekend, right? You're maintaining progress. It's not like you're coming in kind of with the humdrum outlook of where things are headed. You're maintaining that momentum. And I always like to use, Sundays even as like a little bit of a reflection period. Last night, Sunday night, we've been having a little bit more like movie night with the kids or whatever. And we sat down, and my 4-year-old daughter was dying. She wanted to watch I don't know, the Daniel Tiger Clifford or something like that. And we just sat down, the Michelle Obama becoming documentary.
Yeah, I heard it was good. Apparently, she won a Grammy for the audio for that spoken word.
We're explaining this to my 4-year-old daughter, but the first Black female, she was the first female president, the first woman of the what am I trying to say? I'm not losing my train of thought. I was
first Black first lady.
First Black first lady of the United States, African American first lady of the United States, and that is so cool. That is like so amazing, and how strong she was as a woman, and how amazing and how astute she is to everything. She's very cerebral, funny, intuitive. She's the complete package. And we were just watching as she just kind of holds herself. But it was her becoming, and this whole thing was basically how she felt like almost she wasn't locked up. She wasn't able to be who she actually wanted to be, because she was within the confines of politics. And what do politics looks like? Super scripted.
Right.
She's able to become so much more, and she's able to create so much more influence now that she's out of the White House. And I was just looking, I was just like, it was so amazing. It's what I want my girls to be. It's like how I empower my wife. I think my wife's so amazing on how smart she is, and how
she bailed on us again today, folks. She bailed on us again today.
She's a busy woman. She is an attorney, so she obviously has other work to do. But I think this is, how amazing are women. And I know we spoke on this on Friday, and that was my little tidbit on how I just want to empower my girls, right? And just make sure I'm speaking into their lives and just really building them up as women, right? True feminists that know how to speak their mind, and really aren't afraid on what their beliefs are, what their convictions are, and how they really promote themselves, right? I want them to come on. That's why I want to bring my girl Genevieve. I don't want her to be shy in front of a camera to speak her beliefs, her wants, her desires, her needs, her vulnerabilities, right? She can let her vulnerability. I love transparency. That's what I tell my guys. I'm like, I want transparency across the board, complete transparency,
right?
And get to that level, and we can be vulnerable with ourselves. That it doesn't matter. It does not matter. What's up, Pete? Thanks for joining in.
Yeah, man. I think that, and that's why people see I make so much different content, and I'm posting content all the time. And I would say that while I do have clients like yourself that help me, keep the dream alive, most of the content, if not, 60 to 70% of it that I do for myself, I don't even get paid for it. I do it because I'm passionate about it. I do it because it's fun. I do it to work on my skills and make people laugh and entertain people, because that's what I'm passionate about. So I think that when you run a business, I think you get stuck sometimes only doing things that pay you. Like everything you do should have an ROI. And I think that if you're passionate about something like what we talked about, if you're into it, and if you're into improving your skills and, in my opinion, being the best at what you do, you're constantly working on getting better in all different areas. Like it used to be, I just focused on songs for a long time. So I'm really good at writing songs and producing songs, but I also am good at interview production and comedy skits and all these different things. And I think that the more I work on all of that, the better I become as an entertainer all the way around, rather than just focusing on one piece of the pie. So if you're passionate about something, I think that, you should put as much time into doing it as you possibly can. There's an old Gary Vee quote where he says, hey, listen, if you had 48 hours left to live, it might be Sean. It might be my buddy Sean Whalen. If you got a call today that said you had 48 hours left to live. What would you do for those 48 hours?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
that's what I do every day. I
Who's
live
that?
my life like there's no time left on the clock. Like, if people went to my page tomorrow, they would look at all the stuff I made and be like, dude, that guy was hilarious and lived his life to not only laugh, but make other people feel good.
For sure, man.
So I think it's important to remember, how are you putting yourself out into the world? You know what I mean? And like you said, I thought the Michelle Obama reference was, what are you becoming each day? What is your legacy becoming? How will you be remembered every day with the momentum and the work that you put into yourself? So, hey, congratulations to her on being successful. Winning a Grammy Award in anything is not an easy task. So for her to win for Best Spoken Word Album, I think that's admirable.
It's amazing, but I do want to just be an encourager too, because we always, our minds are directed towards celebrity, right? Michelle Obama may be the most. She's definitely one of the most influential women in the entire world, right? And I don't think
she's got that Ellen or Oprah status now for sure.
She definitely does, and she's gone. All over the world, right? She's been in various summits. She's been all over the world, right? People know her. People know Michelle Obama, and we tend to gravitate towards the influence she has and the just the status she has, and she does, and she used it for at an amazing level. But let's focus right on our household, because when you're a leader of one, you're still a leader, right? When you're a leader of tens of thousands, you're a leader, right? Yeah. But when you're a leader of one, how can you be the most influence of just that leader of one? And what I consider myself, I have a couple teams, obviously, that I'm a leader of and that I need to influence. But, my why, my purpose that I always go back to is how I can be a leader of 4, right? Or, 5 within our household or whatever it might be. I got 3 girls and I got my wife. So I am a leader of 4, right? And I'm just building on a little bit on Friday, because I think it's so important as far as what we look at and how we lead well and be vulnerable to leading. Because sometimes I'm not the best leader, right? Even last night, I could have dealt with a couple issues with my daughter, and my wife corrected me. She's like, look, you need to do it this way. You just need to redirect her. So I got a very, very strong-willed 4-year-old. She's tough. She's and I love it. And it's going to definitely bode her well later in life. She's just a fiery redhead that will talk back to you.
And so fiery redhead.
I get you're coming at me. You're coming at me. I'm your dad. And so I get angry with it. I'm like, who are you talking to? No, you go to bed right now. You don't have to, you're not watching this. We're either watching this or you can go straight to bed. And my wife said, what's the redirect, right? Where's the redirect? We talk about redirect in a business sense all the time. I'm telling my guys, how do you redirect conversations and build more rapport? But where's the redirect? And the redirect was a simple animal, right? She got something for her birthday, and it was redirecting the conversation that Genevieve, no, we're actually going to bed right now, and this is the redirect to it, and walking her through that. And so my wife was able to it was instrumental, because I'm yeah, that's a way better approach to take it than just snipping at her, coming back at her, just getting very irritated with her. But that's gonna bode me well as far as that just redirect on how I parent her and how my parenting style is gonna work with her. But the one thing that I just wanted to build on is that we go to Michelle Obama and we see just this massive influence she has. But how do we make it in everyday relevant terms, right? We might not be the influencer of where I can go to I can go around the world and just they just know my name, right? That probably won't ever be. Oh, they're gonna know Matt Tack when he walks into a room. Granted, I hope they're I'm influential in some ways, but I don't need to worry about that. That's not serving my purpose, even with Reap the Harvest. We're just trying to put out content right now that's ultimately going to influence people and that allows people to lead others well, right? And be vulnerable. I'm learning every day, But even with Michelle Obama's influence, how can you take that level of influence and put that within your house, right? The way she's leading tens, maybe millions, 100 millions of people, she's actually, you can take that influence, you can have that same influence in a single child or the 3 daughters that I have, or even in my wife, right? I can tell you that my wife is the love of my life, and I want to empower her. But we locked arms together. It's not anything. We lead together. We lead our house together. And I would encourage you. What does that look like on a daily basis? It's becoming. Becoming is such a strong word. And then also, what is becoming is building up the momentum, right? All it is, perpetual momentum every single day. And one of the way I feed my mind every single day is gratefulness, just going into a grateful mode, no matter where I'm at in life. Right now, we're going through a struggle, right? I know people are hungry, and that's like, hunger is one of the hardest things to get through. I just realized my mindset when I'm hungry and thirsty, you are yearning for food. Where's food? And how we get irritated when we can't put bread in us, right? To feed us and nourish our body, and we need that. And I'm sympathetic to that. How do we find silver lining in that? How do we find, where's the momentum in that? Just to find food, right? There's people out there like that. So I want to be sympathetic to that as well. I realize it's just like not, cotton candy and gumballs where we're just going into momentum Monday and we need to, we're going to tackle on the day, right? I am trying to find the silver linings in everything that I do. I know it's going to be, we're going through struggles. We've had a lot of success. We had a closing on Friday. We have another closing coming up today. And then we have actually a couple more. We have one on the 20th. So there's a lot of momentum going on for my business. But the reality is there's people that are searching for food. They're searching, how do you find the momentum in that? So I just think of that. That's part of my reflection period of just being extremely grateful, waking up in the morning that I am extremely grateful, but how can I be an actor? How can I help and assist in any way that I can? And so, my wife and I just collectively come together in a reflection period to do that, to be more influencers in that capacity of what exactly looks like. How can we be grateful, and how can we go beyond, just outside of our doors, helping other people and feeding the impoverished right now, because that's happening in Ecuador, right? I got off a board meeting with the Merida League Foundation. Ecuador is being slammed right now. People are just dying. They just didn't have the level of care that they needed. And so, there's literally bodies piling up the street where they don't have enough graves to bury these bodies.
Man.
And there's people that are hungry. They're dying of hunger. Like, people just lost their jobs, right? That's the reality that we live in. That, America, we're getting handouts, right? A lot of people are getting the stimulus. Don't get me on the soapbox that a lot of this money is going into big corporation where they don't need the money. It's unfortunate that, some of this EIDL money and the payment protection is just going to the wrong people right now. I think that's it's terrible that some of our nation's wealthiest are getting massive checks right now instead of the people that are actually going hungry. It's insane. But let's stay on track. It's just being grateful, right? Being grateful for what we do have in the U.S. of getting, just being in one of the best nations to actually live in, and free capital America, that we get a free choice and a free will. But I do, with the Merida League Foundation, Ecuador is being impacted, and I just encourage them. I said, look, man, as I consult for them, how do you pivot? How do you redirect? How do you put almonds in your chocolate? And the CEO over there has now pivoted, and she's gone to other nonprofits that are boots on the ground within Ecuador, and they're just collectively creating a team that can now go in and be boots on the ground. So they're humanitarian relief that they're doing right now, and it's really cool what they're doing. But it's really coming back as far as how are we grateful for what we do have, and how we can give prosperity back to others. So that's just a huge momentum for me. That's what provides me energy on a daily basis, is that we can just we can be extremely grateful. Every morning I wake up and I try to go through my affirmations of like, how am I grateful every single day? And then just walk with a smile on my face. And so, some days it's going to be harder than others, right? You're going to go through those down times, but how can we go through? I would encourage everyone to go through that of just that gratefulness technique. How am I waking up and just complete gratitude of what we do have and what we've been given, and then how do we go throughout the day and impact others, right? Being a giver above all. I try to, in every way that I can be a giver, and try to look outside myself. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a human being, so the selfish ambitions, the desires of my own heart get in the way, and I have to sit down and reflect, and that's when reflection comes in. So really, gratitude, having a level of gratitude, reflection, daily reflection, whether it's just 5 or 10 minutes, go through a reflection period, of really identifying the gratitude in your life, and then where can you get better? Where are you celebrating almost your failures, and you can grow from that. But now that's where the momentum occurs, right? That consistency, being consistent. Right. I was even today, I was like, I don't even want to hop into this call, really, man, because it's just been like I was grinding last night. I had to, get some workout. We had to do a number of different things. But how do we maintain the consistency, the momentum across the board? And that's, Momentum Mondays. That's what we're coming down to. So I'm extremely grateful for everyone listening in. And appreciate you all. Just want to come up with a little bit of power punch today from Reap to Harvest. Keep planting those seeds.
Plant those seeds. And I think that it's important too. Like, I use the internet to document progress. A lot of times you see me post about this or that or the other thing. I can go back on my Facebook feed to, 2013 when I was sleeping in my van in California and I had no money. And I was playing on the side of the road at a farmer's market for $40. So I encourage you to think about where you're going, what you want to create momentum towards, and start documenting your progress. Because in a week, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years from starting today and creating momentum, you'll look back at your post that you documented and be like, dang, I really came a long way. But that also means you have to shed the skin, shed the worry about the external applause or the external noise, and not worry about what everybody else is going to say about you taking a stand and saying, this is where I'm going. Because the second that you make declarations of, this is the success that I want to achieve, I started posting these funny comedy videos, and everybody's like, why are you doing that when you make no money doing that?
Yeah.
You don't get paid for that. Well, guess what? It creates momentum. It creates the skill set. The creative muscle becomes stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And then 2, 6, 12 months from now, I'm going to be on, another stage like I was when people told me I was crazy making songs. And then I got on stage at 10X and everyone was like, oh, you just played in front of 10,000 people. Well, it worked. Congratulations. So when you make your declaration today, it might sound crazy to people, but 2 years from now, when the result that you had in your mind happens from all the work that you put in, then everyone will tell you what a great idea it was. Kobe Bryant probably didn't get paid any money to practice shooting baskets all night long. He got paid for the results that he got on the court. So how much work are you going to put in outside of the other work to be great at what you do? Something to think about. Man. Something to think about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Good analogy on Kobe.
Apparently that dude shot baskets all night long, every morning. He had an arm sling in one picture I saw, and he's like shooting baskets. Like, dude, that's beast mode or whatever it is. That's Mamba mentality game. What level of game do you want to be on?
Yeah, I think what you were getting at, something that was the DM when he went live this morning.
He's great.
Mark Evans was saying, just finding happiness in your journey or falling in love with the journey. I call it joy in the journey, right? When you have a destination in mind of where you want to go, the journey is the destination. It's not okay, I'm gonna like start it and then fizzle out, because that's what a lot of things happen. I think even when I was doing a consulting, I heard one guy say, you have one shot. that's it. You have one shot. And if you don't get that one shot, with that, like it was at Raising Capital. So it was a company that I was consulting for. If you got one shot and if you don't get them on that one shot, you can't do it again. Like, when is that ever true? Like, no, you don't have one shot, but you have to keep it consistent. It's all about the consistency, right? So like if that one shot doesn't work out, what is it like? Maybe there's a pivot strategy.
Yeah, you have to create your own openings. You got to always be creating new openings. So I get what you mean.
Or you just follow up again, right? So if it's like you don't get an answer, well, like how many people don't get an answer the first time and then you just follow up again? You know, with specifically with it's I'll tell you a failure on my part. So we wanted this house. Like I wanted this house so bad. It was a distressed house, but it's near our house, and I was like, man, it would be a good house to have to refinish up. And so what I did was I called the guy, didn't get hold of him, but I was like, dude, I'll send this guy a gift basket, right? When's the last time? Everyone sends them letters, direct mailers, calls them, text messages them. Well, who's going to send them like an $80 gift basket? So I sent him a gift basket, right? I forgot to follow up with this guy. So one of my neighbors cued me that he was over there that one day, and it was like 2 or 3 months I'd dropped by, and I meant to like drop him a line. Yo, I sent you a gift basket. Call me back. I'd love to talk to you about your property. My neighbor cues me up. I go over there. It was actually super awkward. If any of you know me, I can make it. I could make the situation awkward, but I'm really clever at navigating the waters when I'm in an awkward situation too. So I'm like, hey man, how you doing? I was like, he's actually with a prospective buyer too at the same time.
Of course.
Like, hey, I sent you a gift basket. He's like, no way, man. He's like, I know exactly what you're talking about. He apologized to me. He's like, I'm so sorry I didn't follow up with you. I meant to follow up with you. I've actually 3 days ago, I was looking at that gift basket and I was like, I got to reach out to that guy. So, it's doing those things. It's not like you don't have one shot. No, you just have to have journey. You have to make it consistent. What is your consistent model that you're going after? And you just have to be consistent with it across the board. And then you also have to enjoy it. Like, I mean, I wouldn't like try to do something you don't enjoy, because then you're just going to hate, like you're going to look 30 years down the road, 25 years down the road, 15 years down there. And you're like, what was it all for? And you just really have to have joy in that journey as you're progressing. Your why has to be bigger than you. I always say that, your why has to be bigger than you. It just can't be about you. It can't be about money either. That can be a byproduct, but it can't be the cause. It definitely can be the result, but it can't be the cause. So you just like that perspective, right? Creating that momentum and that consistency across the board. Exactly what we're doing here. Just trying to create momentum, keep it consistent. But then, just that learners are earners, constantly learning across, grabbing different, I was listening to Michael Todd this weekend and just got new ideas on relationship goals and how I can, I'm going to read his book, Relationship Goals. So check it out. It actually just came out. But, those are the things actually that I'm trying to get better at constantly, because I know my why, I know my purpose. My purpose is not to make like buku bucks. If it's a byproduct, cool. Because I want to give away as much as possible. Like I want to, I don't have a ton of money right now. I don't have like insane amount of money, but one thing I do have is I do have love. I love endlessly. I love people, that's what I'm passionate about. So, I mean,
well, that all comes back. That all comes back around, man. And it does. Mm-hmm. It does. And putting that out there. And that's why we're doing this. And that's why, when I was talking to you, we met last year and you're like, oh, I mean, a podcast sounds cool. And doing videos and stuff sounds cool. And I'm like, dude, you got to understand that like certain people have a message in them that needs to get out. Mm-hmm. And so, over time, like we talked about, over the course of a year or two, people will look back on all these videos and all this consistency. And, when you're speaking at an event, not just hanging out as an attendee, people won't be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely, man.
Because before we even made one video, I told you that's what I saw. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I appreciate the vision entire process too. I appreciate the hard work you put in.
It's all love. So, man, keep it moving. Have a great week. Tell Turtleneck Kelly that her fans are awaiting. And
they are awaiting. We need to get Marriage Mondays locked down, man.
Marriage Mondays.
She's got a lot of good stuff that she can provide some people, and I've been building her up. She's amazing. She's a killer.
I love
She knows how to. She knows how to give some good words. She's a very wise lady. So,
I like it.
Reap the Harvest. I appreciate everyone listening in.
Rock on, man.
Everybody, subscribe to me on Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook. You find me Matt Tech, official Matt Tech. But Reap the Harvest.
Boom.